So for the final time in season 2022, we bring you live for the Trackstars Racing Series TS2 Touring Car Championship. Live here at the French Rivieras of St Croix C for the Trackstars TS2 St Croix C 260s. Two races, both 13 lappers, but with an extra bit of spice here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have pit stops for the very first time here at TS2, just like they do with the Super 2s at Bathurst. They're in the Bathurst 250 with one compulsory pit stop these drivers will have to make this evening. So it's going to bring out some strategies. Maybe people will be doing a bit of fuel saving and try to go that extra lap and beat their competitors, but we'll have to wait and see. But joining me tonight for the final time here at Trackstars in the TS2 category, we have the one and only four-time Touring Car Championship Jarman It's Racing, and we also have a special commentator in Viper Z, who is the team manager of season 22 for season 2022 for the new team coming in to the series, Satellite Racing. Welcome to Viper Z. Good evening, gentlemen. How are we doing this evening?
Yeah, good, thanks. Glad to be here with you and glad to be joined by Viper as well.
Yeah, thanks guys. Fantastic to be here for the final round. Can't wait to see what these guys offer up tonight at St Croix.
So as we see Jerem 50 leading the way, obviously in his beloved Nissan GTR, I would have thought, obviously he did say as months ago that he would commit to the GTR in the TS2 Championship. Obviously he's gone a little bit more comfortable with TS2 specs with the GTR compared to the Honda NSX in the main series. So, but we've been seeing a little bit of a strange pattern that we see with Jerem 50. I don't know about you, Viper said, but obviously we saw Jerem 50 being pretty high up in the pecking order, always hanging in and always fighting for that third place and sometimes second place amongst you and Matt. But over the last couple of rounds, he did have one win back at Spa in the last round, but he's been struggling to find that podium pace and that race-winning pace that he had, you could say, maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to have that absolute cutting edge right now. Obviously going into the final round, he'll be hoping that he can end off on a high, but maybe that's just sort of an indicator that all of his priorities right now are really shifted towards helping the CP Motorsports Honda. I believe that's the car he's in for the Enduros. I really should know the cars I'm racing against. With a really strong qualifying performance, we saw he and I believe it was Nightwalker he's paired with.
Yep.
So
those two will be racing in the, obviously these guys will be racing in the TS2. So teammates in the TS2 category, obviously two different teams, Jerem with the CP colours and Nightwalker in the WRT colours. But yeah, we saw with Jerem, he set himself at 255 flat in the first part of qualifying, and then his teammate Nightwalker only set at 254.8. So amongst those, between those two drivers, there's nothing in it when it comes to lap time. Looking through to Jerem as he leads the way into the first lap of the St Croix C, this 10.8 kilometre track, negotiating turn 2, trying to make sure you don't clip that inside armco as it comes thick and fast, the exit of turn 3, but turn 2, sorry. Then plucking through the gears down to 5th and then up into 6th, and a heavy braking zone, getting around about just past that 150, downshifting nice and quickly, getting that car to stop around about 80 kilometres there to pull the car up. So obviously, he might be warming himself up for the shootout, but actually, I do say that it's going to be Nightwalker that's going to be in the shootout for the number 50 later on this evening for the MB Glass 1500 Top 6 shootout. And then coming through this section of the track. What about you, Jarman and Liam? How do you guys rate this track, and what part of the track do you think is the key when it comes to a qualifying or even more so a Top 6 shootout lap?
I reckon, yeah, I definitely rate it highly. It's sort of one of my favourites. Had a little bit of success here over the years while on GT Sport, so definitely a fun one. Probably the section Jerem's coming up to now, the S's, that's really crucial. You've got to sort of balance your car delicately, get the weight settled right just to get on the brakes there and then nail the exit as well. Probably turn 1, or what I'll call turn 2 as well, sort of very tight with the Armco barriers. So you've really got to be basically perfect through there if you want to set a good lap time.
Yeah, just adding on to what Jarman said there as well. That's pretty much spot on. This corner as well that we see Jerome going through here, which he seems to have nailed beautifully. Got on the power nice and early there. Really crucial just to really solidifying your lap time. It's such a long straight these guys come onto before they enter the final sector, and any sort of mishap coming through that corner there, the long sort of sweeping right-hand hairpin, any kind of touch of the wall, any hesitation on the throttle, it's going to cost you all the way down this straight into the braking zone.
No, you're definitely right there.
Yeah, I would say in a way that'll cost you, depending how deep you actually want to send the car into that corner, because if you send the car hitting the apex, but then the arm code towards the end of it, it actually kind of sticks out a little bit. So when the arm code does stick out, it just kind of puts drivers off, and that's how they get that bit of ricocheting from the right arm code to the left straight away. But coming on towards the final couple of corners, it looks like a nice solid lap for Duran 50, negotiating turn 23 very nicely. This one I would say is definitely the hardest corner to negotiate, because the car does love to drift wide, and when you drift wide, you hit that left arm code. But negotiating that final corner very nicely, he's going to come through, set the benchmark time. It's going to be just under a 3-minute lap there, 2-minute 59.9 there. But we look at drivers such as Zurich coming through. He's got himself into the 3-minute one. So then we look at drivers, Luminous for the KPL racing team, the Nightwalker 964, so teammates 1 and 2, and obviously it's sharing different colours. Devlin Calypso is coming through now, setting his time. Rugworth moves himself up into 4th place. Warpath has gone through as well, and then we see a returning name here, Jarman. We have SDRT Wazadon joining us in the Trackstars TS2 category. We did race 1 round in the main series back in February at Dragon Trail Seaside, but it's good to see a familiar name make a return to the Trackstar scene.
Yeah, it's definitely, well, obviously the schedule's opened up for Wazadon to race tonight. I know last year when the Formula 2 series was on the Saturday nights, he was a regular feature of that series as well, so obviously the Saturday really suiting his schedule a lot more better than what Sunday nights do, and that's given him the opportunity to jump in tonight and have a bit of a run with us yet again.
Maybe less deliveries happening at less deliveries happening at Domino's on his workplace. Maybe he's off the clock and just having a race. Why not? But we see Little Blacker, the unofficial or the official 2022 Trackstars TS2 champion, up into 4th place here, so he'll be on the move away from TS2 into the main series next year, possibly looking to make home in the team that he's racing with in the TS2 at RoboSport Racing, but obviously that'll be confirmed very shortly. And then we have a special guest appearance here by Mr. Adam Weller, the main series commentator, the Formula commentator, the touring car commentator, and a real world commentator in England. So it's good to see Adam join us, but he's about 1.7 seconds off the pace, but still hanging in the top 5 and 0.039 ahead of Rugworth in 6th.
Yeah, obviously, I think you mentioned it last night that it's a very long track, so being a second off the pace isn't something that you can get upset with yourself over, because you can lose a tenth here and there and it all quickly adds up. But I'm sure he's working into it. He's been doing a bit of practice with me this afternoon, and I think he was just a bit slower than that as well, so he's really picked up the time here. He's about 2.4 quicker, so that might put him towards the top 3 here on this lap.
And I think we know how Viper would feel after when you talk about gaps and margins. I wonder how Viper felt after Thursday night when he saw the gap between himself and Diswood one in the 66 Honda. So I wonder how many laps it took you to get that lap, Viper, obviously to find that sweet spot in the Lexus, and then only be about 0.08 behind Diswood in the CP Honda.
The full hour, basically, to put it very bluntly. The Lexus takes, as you know, Spud, a fair amount of time just to find a nice happy window, and it took basically every single second that I could use to just try and dial that car into a nice happy middle point, as I'll just put my own conversations on the side here as we see Adam here crossing the line. We'll see where he can go from 6th and up to 5th there, so he jumps over Warpath into the top 5. But yeah, for that whole qualifying session, it was just about trying to find this nice balance in the Lexus, and it's a very difficult car to sort of dance on the edge of danger and get a hot lap in, but able to get it right in the final, I think 10 minutes I set my last lap, and there was more in it, rest assured, but couldn't quite get this wood, so it was a bit disappointing.
Yeah, well, I guess in a way that it is very fine margins, but obviously that's qualifying, and then we've got the top six shootouts. So how would you rate the Hondas with just the one lap pace without, I think sometimes with drivers they take a while to get the Hondas wrapped around the head, maybe about a couple of laps before that third lap or fourth lap they set their fastest lap. So how are we going to see that amongst the likes of Woods, Nightwalker, and even Matt? I mean, we know Matt is really good with a one lap pace, as we saw at Mount Panorama for the Bathurst 1000. So I wonder how long it's going to be for these guys to get adjusting to with these cars come that top six shootout.
Well, crucially, Matt actually, as it's been seen in the Discord, isn't going to be partaking in the top six
Yes,
shootout. It'll be this other
right.
man in the box, Mr. It's Racing Jarman, who'll be
That's right.
taking the reins of the number 95 Honda. How do you feel going into that one, Jarman? Obviously, your first shootout being partnered with Matt. Is there a bit of pressure on the shoulders, or how are you going looking into tonight?
No pressure at all. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a qualifying session. It's one lap. It can easily go either way, but there's 1,500 kilometers to think about tomorrow as well. So, I mean, if I end up first, third, sixth, it doesn't really matter too much to me. I'm just going to go out and give it my best crack and enjoy it for what it is.
Get to enjoy it for one more time for your full-time role in the main series Touring Cars Championship. So obviously it'll be a nice special lap for you to be the last runner and to have the whole track to yourself. You see Nightwalker coming through the back end of the section. Only about 0.2 up on his time, but he might be able to get close to Turam 50 as he negotiates this section of the track, which kind of suits the MR car with the power to weight ballast of the car, just getting those cars sideways hooked into the corner very nicely, and then getting a nice exit out of T24. The run up towards the line, can he get closer to? He does. He's only about 0.5, so he's gained 0.5 on that lap there. So more to find for Nightwalker with about 2.5 minutes to go. So he's got one more lap to try and make it count for pole position. Oh, as we see Devlin get in the way of Blacker there. I don't think Blacker was on a lap there, but he might be actually. He would have been able to maybe just improve his lap there, but that was costly. A mistake there for Devlin to get in the way of Blacko. But thankfully for Blacko, one more lap for him, and he might be able to compose himself and just regroup and hopefully get himself a quicker lap.
Yeah, that wasn't really some wise driving there from Devlin. Obviously, little Blacko, I think he was actually on a lap and just started weaving around in front of him. But obviously, probably needs to use the mirrors a bit more, just be aware of the surroundings, and hopefully it hasn't affected little Blacko too much that he can press on and get another lap in maybe.
So we've got just over 1.5 minutes to go. Our current leaders are Turam 50 and number 50 CP Motorsports Nissan GTR leading the way ahead of his CP teammate in Nightwalker 964 in the main series, but representing the WRT Motorsport colours in second, with Sirik, also another WRT member in the Nissan GTR in third place, with Blacko, the 2022 TS2 champion, in fourth, Adam Weller hanging around in fifth place, Budsy 76 making the move up into sixth place, about 0.6 behind Adam, Warpath 360 in seventh place, and then also another WRT, so 3 WRT cars in the top 7. It's a very good showing for these guys. And then we have Rugworth in 8th place, rounding up for the MSR VL Racing.
Yeah, just trying to quickly scan through a lot of these guys on last lap, and Duran's going fastest at the moment. Let's see what someone like Nightwalker has on the way through as well.
We're in sync with each other, so let's wait and see what's got. So we'll look at that. Nightwalker's up on his PB, but Duran 50 is actually on the fastest sector there. So this is going to be very close between Duran and Nightwalker, and see where these guys end up come the end of the at the end of the 12-minute qualifying session. But Blacker comes through here. This section he's just got he might have just run a little bit wide there, compromised his entry speed. But we'll look on his lap times. No, he actually gained a bit of time there. So I guess in a way it was a bit of a blessing in disguise because he's actually 0.5 up on his personal best. And as we see Duran, the first of the runners for the final time in the TS2 qualifying for the final time in 2022, who will claim pole position will be Duran 50 coming across T24, coming across the line, plucking through the gears, 5th gear, and a nice straight line finish into a 2-minute 59.1. And what has Nightwalker got in response here? Negotiating T24. Oh, just a bit wide, gets a bit of grass there, but I don't think it'll hurt him too much. And then coming across the line, he does improve. No, he doesn't. So he's actually behind. Sirik comes through, doesn't improve his lap time. So far, so good for Duran 50 and the CP Motorsports Car 50 with Nightwalker in second place. Let's look at Little Blacko coming through the back end of the section for the final time for the TS2 champion of 2022. The number 14 in Little Blacko for Robo Sport Racing. Coming across the finish line, it does look like he's going to improve his lap, but well, he actually does improve, but stays in 4th place. I see Adam here is actually on a nice lap for himself as well, so he might be able to jump, and he does! But Adam jumps Little Blacko there in 4th place, a top job for Adam Weller. He's actually put a second over, I believe it's a second over Blacko there, so that's an amazing effort there for Adam in the number 46.
Yeah, that was a really fast time at the end. Really, obviously dug deep and found something to improve himself, and just manages to jump himself into the second row. Looks like Bent Stick's abandoning this lap. So I think the only other person that's on the lap at the moment would be Cowboy, but he looks to be going slowly down the long straight. Oh, and Renegade as well.
Yep. So the back 6 would be SDRT Wazadon in 11th place. Devlin Calypso in 12th. Bent Stick, ISAR, Renegade, and NZL Cowboy rounding up 13, 14, and 15. Also, we have another one of our main Division 2 commentators also joining us in the box tonight. Is welcome back to DJ back in the com box.
Yeah, it's good to be back. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a family Christmas lunch to get to, and I couldn't do anything. But no, it's good to be back. Good to see some. Good to be back and see some TS2 racing going on, because it has been a bit of a while since I've seen the TS2 boys run around.
Yeah, I would say so too. And it's good to see these guys for the final time. And this is actually where you took your first. I believe this is where you took your first victory in TS2 Viper. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I believe it was actually, Spud. That's a pretty tops memory. It was this exact track. It was my debut in TS2, and I did take victory here. I think it was a sort of extended race, but yeah, good memories from this track.
Yeah, it is a very special track for us, as we have done a throwback round in this with the main series, and then obviously it's one of its racings and probably mine and a DJ's favourite track as well. But here we are, boys. We are race 1 of 2. It's the 13 lap with a compulsory pit stop. We have Duran 50 on pole position with Nightwalker 964 in second and Sick right behind in third as we wait for those 5 lights to go out. It is lights out, green flag racing. A lot of wheel spin coming from Duran 50 side, but it looks like he's got the clean jump over Nightwalker 964 with Sirik in 3rd place. So it's a bit of a stalemate between the front 4 runners, but coming into this braking zone in turn 2, this is where all the chaos can happen coming towards turn 2. But so far, Duran 50 ahead of Nightwalker, and ahead of Sirik, and then Adam Weller still in 5th. And we see SDRT Wazadon come from out of nowhere from the back row of from the 11th spot up into 5th. So what a start by SDRT Wazadon.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at the replay here. It seems like we've missed the majority of it at the moment, so it must have been just a really good launch from him. As Mickey's in the background, looks like he got into the fence there.
I believe I'm not so sure if you press Z, I think you can actually watch the full start replay, but if we see Wazadon now up into 4th place, and then we see Sirik actually drop down from 3rd. So Wazadon on his return to Trackstars is having a great showing in TS2 with Sirik dropping down to 3rd after starting 3rd, with Little Blacko in 6th, Warpath in 7th, Budsy and Luminous rounding up in 8th and 9th place. But still, so far, we actually have a change of the lead. It is Nightwalker 964 ahead of Duran 50, so Duran must have made a mistake in the early sections, probably towards the...
No, he got him on turn 2. He got him around the outside.
I seen him around
yeah, they went around turn 2, and Nightwalker had obviously the pure exit pace of that Honda, because that thing around here is just absolutely phenomenal, as everyone probably saw from last night with the 2 minutes 53 that Matt put down. That thing was
Oh, sees a car go wide. That is warpath.
Yeah.
A little bit. That is as it's mentioned there. That's where the part of the track was really crucial for drivers. But these Cyric and Little Black are side by side on the exit of the bridge there. Beautiful racing for the 2022 TS2 champion, and Cyric right up in 6th place, who just came out of his favourite race down at Fuji. He obviously made a quick jet flight back to France, and obviously jumped in his 98 Nissan GTR. Nicely prepared there by the WRT boys, and now running in 6th place. But Wazadon has got a little bit of a... It looks like he doesn't have top end speed there, so he's lacking down the straight there. And Cyric's going to probably take advantage of a double slipstream here, but no, he actually stays down in 5th place. So a bit of lackluster straight line speed for Wazadon in the SDRT car.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to go to work there a bit between races, but for now he's going to be stuck with that slow Nissan heading down the straights, and you can see the big difference between the the three cars. That Little Blacko and Cyric had much more pace down there than what Wazadon did.
There's a lot of drivers doing a double stint this weekend. That's actually very surprising, but obviously unfortunate not seeing Viper or Matt in there. But I know Viper's got his goggles on, looking at what he can do for this Lexus to get the thing to match those Hondas.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm doing right now. Yep. Yeah, you called it, DJ. Fantastic analysis there.
No, it's good to see these drivers doing double stint, because we know that this is probably one of the biggest weekends in the season.
So far, if we look at the drivers doing the double stints, obviously we have Nightwalker and Duram as teammates in the number 50 Honda NSX, but then you have Little Blacko, who'll be alongside his good mate and teammate in the RoboSport Racing Camp, and actually driving for the EBM boys in the number 35 EBM Nissan GTR. They'll be pairing together. Then we have the likes of Cyric pairing up with Colin T24 in the RoboSport Racing 74. And then Budsy 76 coming alongside, coming for you, 194 405 PLE Lexus. Like I said, there are a lot of drivers doing double stints here, so obviously it's good for some drivers to get those extra mileage laps for tomorrow, especially. But for Nightwalker himself, he's doing the double yards tonight, obviously racing TS2, and then he's got a shootout lap not long in an hour or so's time.
I don't know, man. Whatever Woodsy did to those Hondas, he's definitely got the CP cars hooked up pretty consistently, and even the ITS cars. Like how close together the CP cars are, and then obviously the ITS cars are a little bit further apart, but they've definitely got Hondas tuned up to this track.
Yeah, I know. So Slayer and Gabans have been a bit late on the practice, so that's probably not helped them as much. But I know Sir Slayer's really starting to get his speed up in the last day or so. So he's getting pretty close to the sort of times that I'm doing, and I'm slowly trying to catch up after a few bad nights of practice. So hopefully we can get a bit closer. But of course, Matt is a pretty special driver, so I don't think there's a lot of drivers that can get close to him out of the whole Honda operation even. I mean, he was a full second faster than basically all of them.
I just noticed there in that picture shot with Nightwalker and Duram 50, we know that the Honda has a bit of a ballast compared to the Nissan GTR with 933 kilograms compared to the Nissan's 907. But was looking down the straight, the Honda just actually pulled away from Duram 50, and this is a common thing that we've seen with Duram 50, and I think Viper can agree that. I think when it comes to setup wise, I don't think he really thinks too much about straight line speed. I think he just thinks about a little bit more of on the downforce side, just trying to get those cars around the corners and try and stick with the likes of you and Matt and even Nightwalker 964.
It's a very interesting mentality to have. Pardon me, from Jerome. It's very much one that a lot of the top drivers take, where you've got that option in your mind as these two going side by side nearly through the first corner, Blacko running wide. might get the move if it just tucks it in. Just lost my train of thought there. But it's an interesting tuning decision you've got to make with yourself, whether you go for the top speed or the cornering efforts. And a lot of the top drivers will choose to have that grippy car that you can absolutely throw around a corner. As we see Blacko might finally get the move done on Cyric here, coming into turn 3. It does just tuck ahead of him there, so up to P4 for our current champion Blacko. But yeah, a handling car is definitely something that feels a lot nicer when you're driving it, and you're able to extract a little bit more out of it. The lap time is normally better, but a top speed car, you're much more able, I should say, to pass cars. So if you've got any sort of situation where you might be racing other cars, a car set for top speed and just for acceleration in general is always going to be a better option. And that's what Jerome hasn't really done. So he's very confident he's going to be able to get ahead and sort of have that lap speed and not need to battle.
Yeah, because I definitely noticed that in the last few rounds. I think I caught it especially when we were back at Bathurst on the weekend of the Bathurst 1000. He was trying to pass drivers. He was trying to pass Xylon 96 and a few others just down the straight, but he just couldn't hang. It's just, as soon as he got up to about a tenth of a second, and we saw with little Blacko and Cyric there, when Cyric was a tenth of, or when Blacko was a tenth of a second behind Cyric, he made the move cleanly into turn 3. But if you had Jerome there, he wouldn't be able to make the move into turn 3. He would actually just drift that little bit further back. So it's a very interesting setup wise with the GTR, but I'm not so sure if he has the same philosophy when it comes to the Honda, but we're not too sure, unless he's like DJ says, maybe it's more of a Woodsy tune in the CP cars. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I'd probably lean towards saying that probably Woods has those cars tuned up and obviously hasn't been able to focus as much on the Nissan, of course, so maybe Jerome's probably just whacked in a tune, adjusted some gearing and just gone for it here.
Not wrong there. But we are on lap 3 of 13, so I wonder if these guys will be thinking about pit stops later in the next lap or so. But also we've got Nightwalker 964 leading the way in the 964 WRT Motorsports Honda with Jerome 50 in second, and then a special mention to Adam Weller holding very nicely in the number 46 in third place. And then this mammoth battle between Blacko and Cyric. It's been going on for a full lap, boys. It hasn't gone over half a second, so it's very close racing between Blacko and Cyric. And then we have an honourable mention goes to SDRT Wazadon. It's a phenomenal effort for him to be in 6th place, with Rugworth in 7th, and then Warpath rounding up the top 8.
Yeah, this battle is just continuing on. I think Blacko's held 4th for the majority of it, as Cyric goes for a repeat of the move that he made a lap ago. Wonder if Little Blacko's going to be a bit more aggressive this time. Yeah, he sort of holds it out a bit further, tries to hold his ground a bit more, but in the end still forced to tuck in behind Cyric through turn 2, so maybe he'll go for a repeat here and try and go down the inside into turn 3.
This is great racing from our TS2 champion in Blacko and Cyric. This is I guess you could say in a way, DJ, this is the kind of Blacko that we were missing in that earlier phases of the TS2 when Viper and Matt and Jerome 50 started to dominate that top 3 podium positions.
Yeah, I don't think, like, he was putting in some solid performances, but yeah, as you said, they weren't really up to as Blacko's spec as what we thought they would be. But we got ISAR Renegade here up into 9th place, so he's done a pretty good start to this race too. So yeah, it's good seeing him in battling top 4, top 5. But yeah, obviously when Viper and Matt did come in, they just kind of dominated TS2, and then when they weren't there, obviously we had Xylon battling with them as well, trying as best as he could. But yeah, I think he might have just been putting some solid laps in here with obviously main series, and he might have just crossed the tune over possibly. I'm not overly sure, but I know that's probably one thing that I would probably do, is kind of cross the tune over. But yeah, it's good, some solid speed here. But not only that, Cyric, considering Cyric started in TS3 this year and he's moved up to TS2, and then he debuted at Tokyo in the TS2, and he did get a top 5 result there too. So he did a pretty outstanding job instantly moving up during the year. So
yeah, we can't forget his round win as well.
Yeah, can't forget his round win at Spa in the last round. So it's just a phenomenal effort for Sirik there, and then obviously getting his main series call to drive alongside myself in the Mashbuds Racing at the Nürburgring 24-hour layout. Just having obviously it was a very late call up for Sirik, and obviously me just trying to find a driver for Bunce, and Blacker runs a bit wide. How did he keep it on the tarmac there? That is incredible. And then they're going to start going side by side. No, Sirik thinks otherwise there, but how close was Blacker getting just one tire on the grass, and that is see you later. I think Viper recalls that moment that he had in the qualifying on the final lap. I saw on the stream there, just running a bit wide and almost going full 360.
Yeah, I think Zirik might have just coaxed little Blacko a bit there into outbraking himself, as Zirik just runs wide there as we go back from the replay, and it's just going to cost him a little bit of ground there. Probably not going to get as close to pulling the same move he did on little Blacko the previous 2 laps.
Absolutely amazing battle for 4th place between Blacko and Zirik there, and then as we look down the back end of the grid, we did say, like DJ said, we did see ISO Renegade up into 9th place. So I think he started from the back row of the grid up into 9th. So that's a really awesome recovery drive. And then we saw Budsy rounding up the top 10. But we can't keep our eyes off this battle, boys. It's just going on. And Little Blacker's just shoving him to the right arm code there, just saying, no, you're not going to have that position. But Sirik places the car beautifully, but Blacko's going to go for an outside move. He go for an outside that turns into the inside. No, he doesn't, so he sticks back there. So advantage goes to Sirik, and what a lovely move. And that is a great battle, but great battling duel between Sirik and Blacko. So I wonder if this is the moment that Sirik starts to pull away from Blacko on this lap.
Yeah, he's started to move that margin out to about 8 tenths immediately, so and a second faster on his best time so far. So now he's got a bit of clean air through this section. Maybe he'll just start to put that advantage out of reach of the slipstream and start going to work on catching Adam Weller for position 3.
So see on the timing screen there, we see Budsy actually move up into 8th place there. So Warpath must have had a bit of a mistake there. So he looks like he has made the move on Warpath 360. So Rugworth and Budsy, the sole MSR cars in the TS2, as unfortunately we didn't have the likes of JMX and Xylon 96 finishing up the TS2 championship, but at least Budsy and Rugworth are doing the honours for Mashbuds Racing. And then rounding out towards the back end, we've got Ben Stick 7, who I believe is a MNR driver as well, I think with NZL Cowboy. And then with Mikez 1, 2, 3 and 14th, and an NZL Cowboy just coming through the pit lane a minute behind. So a little bit of hard work there for NZL Cowboy to try and catch up. It's a bit of a learning curve with these cars here, but still, lap 5 of 13, we have Nightwalker and Duran 51 and 2, and that gap has just gone over a second there. So obviously we've been seeing that gap unravel between 0.8 and about 1.1 seconds. So the gap is just extending a little bit, but it is very close between the top 2.
I was going to say maybe there might be a bit of a fuel strategy play coming in, but it's like they're burning about the same as each other, so not something we can really consider that maybe Jaram's trying to jump Nightwalker in the pit stops, but see what happens in the next couple of laps.
First lane, Nightwalker will be Jaram. No, it doesn't, so they're going to go for another lap. So I think if I look at a fuel tank like that, you could probably squeeze out, I would say, one more lap, unless you go really aggressive on the fuel save. You could do 2 laps, but I think for precautions, I think they're just going to go half race distance and then just pit for tyres. But they're extending that gap over Adam. But look at Sirik, boys, in 4th place. He's closed that gap from about 3+ seconds to about 2 seconds there. So he's reeling in Adam very fast.
Yeah, I did say probably nearly a lap ago that would be what he sets out to do, and it looks like he's just dragged little Blacko along for the ride with him. So they've just stopped fighting with each other and put their heads together and work towards catching up to Adam Weller, and then maybe a bit later in the race they can re-engage their fight. Maybe this time for a podium spot rather than the last 2 positions in the top 5.
Just drifts a bit wide there, Adam, and just goes running onto the grass there, so that'll cost him a little bit of time there. But like if we had a Amazon AWS tracker, how long would it take for Sirik and Blacko to catch up to Adam. I wonder it could be maybe about a lap or two in, I would say 2 laps amongst these guys, but unless they pit. If Sirik, I wonder if for a guy like Blacker, you've got to look at Blacker, he's 1.4 behind Sirik, and we know usually the undercut is pretty powerful on this game, so I wonder if for little Blacko's sake he might be able to do an undercut amongst his competitors in Sirik and Adam.
Yeah, I'm going to say with the medium tyres, they seem to be very durable, that you can just basically punish them for good, I'll call it 250 kilometres. So I don't know if the undercut is really there to be had. I think all of these guys would probably be aiming to go as long as they can on fuel, keep the car as light as possible, and go from there. Fill up and try and take the least amount of fuel to get to the end.
I think the issue there, obviously, with that medium tyres, you can't really take the undercut because the mediums do take about a lap or two to warm up. So you're not really going to get that undercut unless, obviously, you do pit, say, 1 to 2 laps, maybe 3 laps earlier, waiting for those mediums to warm up, because they do take a bit. But they, yeah, as you said, they are very durable and they're pretty consistent as well. So in practice and stuff like that, when I was running in practice earlier in the week, they were pretty consistent laps within a couple of tenths, so they don't have as much drop off as what you'd kind of really expect with, say, the soft or super soft tyre.
Yeah, I know from testing for Bathurst last year, I mean, I was getting about 34 laps out of a tank of fuel, and about lap 30, 31 I was still punching in the same times that I was at the start of the stint. So they are very durable. Maybe not the right choice for a race like this, but of course it gives them some knowledge to use for tomorrow's race.
Ah, there you go. So now you see little Blackers coming to the pits. Oh, he nearly hits. Sirik nearly hit Nightwalker 964 on the exit there. That was unbelievably close between Sirik and Nightwalkers. We might see that quick, see if we can catch a replay of that, how close it was between Nightwalker and Sirik. Thank goodness for the ghosting system. Oh, it's going to take us through the whole pit stop sequence, but if it jumps out, there you go. Ooh, luckily for ghosting there, otherwise that would have been a nasty incident. Wow, so close. But Sirik does get the jump over Nightwalker 964, so this could play. This might cost Nightwalker because he's in traffic now. He's behind Adam and he's behind Sirik, so it's going to cost him a little bit of time here. So it's Jeram's chance to try and pull ahead. But I did notice that he did go a lap extra, so I wonder what his fuel is like compared to the. Obviously, if he's doing a lot of short shifting compared to what Nightwalker did the previous lap.
Yeah, that would be an interesting one to look at. And by the looks of things, I'm not sure if they're really getting the most out of it on this lap. I know Adam's 1.2 slower. Maybe they've just realised that they can't get the extra lap out of it and they're going into conservation. But let's see what Jeram's got. He's actually gone faster, so he's proving me wrong.
So he's trying to set the faster. He's trying to set a really good in lap here for Jeram 50 and the number 50 CP Motorsports with Nightwalker in traffic and Jeram 50 in clear air. Can Jeram 50 get the jump over Nightwalker 964? But only time will tell because he will need to come and pit this lap. So Nightwalker's going to get a bit of dirty air behind Sirik and Adam, but obviously those two will be peeling into the pits. So I believe we've got Nightwalker on about, I would say that'd be about 45 litres of fuel, I would say, on Nightwalker's car. But I think the difference, I don't know if it's you, Jarman, but compared to the Lexus and the Honda, as you've driven both cars, I feel like you burn a lot more fuel in the Hondas compared to the Lexus. I think as I saw that when it came to the Bathurst rounds and the previous rounds as solo events.
Yeah, that was what I found as well. I mean, last year's Bathurst 1000, I did test the Honda a little bit, see whether it was a viable option, and with the in-game BOP, they were similar on pace, but I did find that the tyres were wearing out a lot quicker and chewing up fuel a bit more, so in the end we went with the Lexus to give us that flexibility and strategies to a degree.
And yeah, sorry, an interesting one there is Nightwalker actually didn't take any tyres. So as Jeram comes in, the question is, will Jeram take any tyres here? Burn, say that 3 or 4 seconds that he might make up. So we'll just watch this. He does. So this is going to be an interesting one here.
Well, the driver's briefing actually did say that it was a compulsory fuel and tyre stop.
Yeah, so Nightwalker actually hasn't taken any tyres.
Ooh, so Nightwalker goes through ahead of Duran 50, but like you said there, obviously the tyre change is compulsory, so we'll have to wait and see what what the ruling is for Nightwalker 964 come the end of it. But look at that, Sirik's actually jumped ahead of Adam there, so I wonder how much fuel he's put in compared to what Adam's put in. So either that or Adam made a mistake on the final couple of corners there.
Looking about 6 laps to go, maybe Zurich's just judged it a little more perfectly than what Adam has. Adam's actually got less fuel, so maybe there must have been a move made in the final few corners to get ahead.
Must have been, but and then look at this. Look at little Blacko. Look where he is. He's actually further away, so that his undercut didn't actually work. So my theory of the undercut being powerful didn't actually work for Blacko. Obviously, it worked for no, it didn't work for Nightwalker because he was ahead, but he actually gained time on Duran 50, so it has worked for him to be 2.3 ahead, but with a question mark over his head over the compulsory pit stops for Nightwalker and Duran 50. So we'll have to wait and see come the end of the race. But as I do see on the HUD, he hasn't changed tyres.
Yeah, and just looking at the pit times, I'm going to say the lap that Nightwalker pitted was about 2 to 3 seconds faster than what Duran's lap pitting was.
Okay. Yep.
And is reading back on the TS2 briefing, just because I want to obviously be sure, it does say there will be one compulsory tyre and fuel stop in both races here. So this will obviously, if he didn't take tyres, obviously we'll leave it up to the review of the post race, but he may be on a penalty here, so that he'd want to get moving if I was him.
So big implications for the race result for this one. We're on lap 8:15, so Nightwalker 964 leads the way ahead of Duran 50 in second place. Did you see a replay here? You caught something there? Oh yes, Nightwalker NZL Cowboy getting in the way, so Duran's not going to be happy with that. But luckily for him, maybe he doesn't know that Nightwalker's got a penalty over his head. So I guess it's a bit of a saving grace there for Duran 50 if that's the case with Nightwalker. But a stellar performance there for Sirik there to be in third place, jumping Adam Weller in fourth with Little Blacko in fifth. SDRT wasn't, and you got to give him full credit there to be in sixth place. That's amazing. And then he's got Budsy 76 right on his tail, 1.7 behind, and the Lexus that he's got, the tune that he's got in his Lexus is flying down the straight there compared to Wazadon as he. All right, my friend. All right. I give him you for a couple of enduro events.
Are you okay there, DJ? You've got something you need to clear up?
It's a bit hot here. It's a bit hot down here in New South Wales, and it's getting a bit of a dry throat. But no, he's doing a pretty good job there down in seventh place. But I'm pretty sure he's been pretty consistent. He's been consistently in like the top 7 or 8 there. So I'll be definitely prepared to see what Budsy's got in terms of next year as well. But certainly a good showing by Wazadon in his first race back after a long time.
Yeah, I think Wazadon's probably going to need an engine change between races because that thing is absolutely revving off its head down the main straight. So
yeah, you can definitely
probably needs a gearing tune-up and an engine change between races 1 and 2, and will be right to go for the next one.
At least he hasn't got a EBM engine in that car. But otherwise, he might have an EBM engine because after the Bathurst 1000. So obviously Shadon doing some shady business, no pun intended, with EBM there. So with engine swapping.
Yeah, there might not be many Nissan engines in circulation after Bathurst.
I think that's probably why they struggle a little bit in their qualifying. But we did see Weizsäcker put in a solid performance in the Q1 of the qualifying one for the EBM MB Glass 1500 Enduro Touring Car Enduro. But unfortunately for his teammate, unlucky for him to not get a really competitive lap time in Q2, and that actually bumped him out of the top 6. So the number 26 will be starting in 7th place come Sunday morning. But obviously for Weizsäcker, he's been showing some really solid pace when it comes to qualifying. but I wouldn't count him out for getting involved in the race, coming towards the end of the race results.
Yeah, he's showing really good form there. I mean, he even bumped himself into the top 6 at Bathurst as well, I believe.
Mm.
Yeah, Wyzeka did obviously a stellar job there, but I think Wyzeka is on the path of me. Obviously, I'm not exactly that strong in qualifying, but I'm a lot more consistent and a lot stronger and more aggressive in the race. But I think if cars work together, we can try and take it to these Hondas because they seem the car to beat at the moment. But I'm just obviously there's a lot of things to come into play with the staggered amount of laps, as per say fuel saving, tire saving, stuff like that. So how cars will perform with full fuel and how cars will perform with low fuel. But obviously it isn't too much related here in TS2, obviously because they're only doing 13 laps. But there's obviously a lot of factors that are going to come into play come 9:30 tomorrow. But
See, there's still so Buzzy's still behind Wazadon there, so he still hasn't been able to close up on Wazadon. So even though he's got what looks to be a GT Sport stock tuning or gearbox, I believe, but obviously he's found something in the corner, so he can actually pull away. And we see Sirik come into the pits there. So what's happened? So I did Sirik's name pop up in the pit lane. So what's happened here? Has he got damage? No, he doesn't. Oh, he's got tires. He's the one. He didn't change tires in that one. So he's another victim of a driver that hasn't made the tire change. So I wonder if he was tuning into the stream there and he realized, and he must have just flicked it on the right time that we said that you have to change tires.
Yeah, it might be interesting one there, or like whether he forgot to do it, or
Yeah, we can see
it's
now on
not.
the HUD he's got clear tires now, so he's actually got fresh boots. But he didn't drop too much. He held on to 5th place nicely. A fair way behind Blacko, but I guess now for Sirik's case, he's actually done his tire change. But the question looms on Walker 964. About three and a three quarters laps to go, and hopefully he would think that he might need to make a pit stop. But I think for Nightwalker, he won't be thinking about rules and regulations. He'll be thinking about trying to take his first win, but unfortunately, if the rules are rules, that if he doesn't do these pit stop, a win will be taken away from him.
Yeah, it's one to definitely review later. Although I'm not sure. Like looking at Nightwalker's actual tire wear, I don't. It seems consistent with what I've been having. I'll call it after a lap with tires. So he might have actually legitimately changed his tires and could be very much keeping the win. So could be something to think about. I know it's consistent with what I've been experiencing. So yeah, it's very much possible that he has complied with the rules and will be keeping his win.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see come the end of the race. But if we run through the grid, we will run through our top 14 drivers. Obviously, the one DNF that we had was ISO Renegade 575 due to some outside stuff going on. So he obviously had to DNF and retire from the race. But we have Nightwalker 964 in first place with Duram, 50 in second with the 50 CP Motorsports Nissan GTR. Adam Weller doing a very solid job there. Was hanging in fourth there, but with that late pit stop by Sirik has dropped him to 5th place with Little Blacko. The meat in the sandwich between those three Nissan drivers with SDRT Wazadon. A solid performance, a nice welcome return for SDRT Wazadon in 6th place there. And look at that, and now we see Budsy 76 looking to make a move on SDRT Wazadon. So with that straight line speed that Budsy's got over Wazadon, can he hold 6th place, or will Wazadon go for a late dive into the end of the long neck? No, he doesn't. So now we have Budsy 76 in 6th place with Wazadon in 7th. Then we have Rugworth 7.4 behind these boys in 8th place, and then Luminous for KPL Kiwi Pit Lane Racing in 9th place, and then Mikes 123 rounding up the top 10. Bit of a quiet run there for Mikes, but it's good for him to get a top 10 in this race with Warpath 360. Very unfortunate, as he was running high up as 7th place to be down in 11th place. So a little bit more work for him to do with his teammate Nightwalker. And then Benstick 7 in 12th with Devlin Calypso in 13th, and then NZL Cowboy rounding up the top 4, rounding up the 14th and last place of the grid. Well, as we see here, we see Duran 50 actually take the lead. So what has happened? So obviously we've missed all that negotiating through the grid order. Did he come in? I doubt he would have come into the pit lane, but something definitely happened.
Yeah, there must have been a mistake somewhere because Nightwalker's now about 2 seconds off the pace.
Instead of 3
Dropped
minute
about
3,
3 seconds the last
that.
lap around, so must have been a mistake there.
That's not what Nightwalker wanted. And these two are teammates come Sunday morning in the MB Glass 1500 touring cars enduro. But obviously for Nightwalker, a little bit of a head scratcher to why he lost that lead. Obviously he's been leading the race on the most laps, but then Duran 50's been hot on his heels, not letting him go. But I think what we do know is that Nissan compared to Nightwalker's Honda is actually is just that little bit faster when it comes to straight line speed. So I won't count out Nightwalker with about 2.5 laps to go.
With watching back the YouTube, it looks like Nightwalker's made a bit of a mistake on the second last corner there, so he must have run wide or something or other like that. Because I just played a little bit back, and then you can see that Nightwalker's in first going through the back end of the S's, and then Duran jumps him at the second last corner, so it's like he's chucked it in the wall or something like that. But yeah, he's definitely made a mistake on that second last corner, and that's when Duran's jumped him. So it's a bit unfortunate, but that is a lot of people's kryptonite, that corner.
Yeah, it looks like at the moment I think we've got closest battle seems to be between Ventstick and Devlin Calypso, so this might be one to watch in the closing laps. But everyone else looks to be pretty well spread out.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. But as I'm trying to look through the championship, the TS2 championships, there's not really much going on amongst the top 4. Obviously, I think Mikes will be able to pip Zola 96 to take 3rd place overall in the championship. But we see Duran 50 will be definitely making the move up into 5th place in the top 5, ahead of Robo Sport, who couldn't be here unfortunately this evening. Then Viper Z is solid in 7th place, and then Devlin Calypso ahead of Mint Matt there, so he'll get points over Matt for sure. But he will hold 10th place, 8th place nicely. And then Matt is in 9th, and then JMX is in 10th. And Nightwalker, I don't think Nightwalker's going to actually will be able to jump JMX. So he might be in 11. He might be stuck in 11th place there, as Nightwalker and Budsy are quite close to each other, only about, I would say, 23 points behind each other. So there are some little championship standing wins especially for Duran 50 being in the top 5 and Minko's to possibly take 3rd place. But I guess in a way you could say it has been you could say from the start of the TS2 championship, it has been a one-man show. That was Little Blacko having 8 wins on the trot at the beginning of the season, before you had guys like Viper Set and a few others and a few of the faster boys jump in to claim to stop Blacko. But I think those first few races that Blacko won, that's definitely helped him with his championship, with the course of his championship, and to win it in 2022.
Yeah, it was a lightning start from him there in the opening races, and he very much looked unstoppable until the likes of Duran, Viper Z, and then Mint Matt all jumped in, of course. Can't forget Jono, who jumped in for a couple of rounds as well.
Yeah,
so those guys all did a very good job. Side Dog as well, he had a race that he was on I think him and Matt were battling it out at the front of the field at Interlagos. So I think through the mid part of the season, he just started to lose his way a little bit. And I know you gave Xylon a bit of a pep talk, and Xylon was really charging at him before Bathurst, and it was close between them. And I was really excited to see how that was going to play out, but unfortunately Xylon dropped out towards the end, and he's unfortunately dropped down the order and left a clear run for Little Blacko to take this championship.
Yeah, something else I was definitely looking forward to as a team manager, just to see the Robo Sport Racing and Mash Buds Racing battle rage on in the TS2 as well. So that would have been awesome for us to see that finale, and I think everyone would have wanted to see a really close championship amongst those guys. But I think in a way, obviously, he's at least Blacko committed throughout the whole season, and unfortunately for Xylon, work and health stuff come first. So I think for Blacko's sake that he does deserve it. So, and he's done he's done a fantastic job to be. I don't know. You could probably say he's the Paul Dumbrell of track stars. You know, you go in the main series, you win a few races, and then you drop down to TS2 because you don't have a drive, win the championship. And look at that, boys. I do see Nightwalker 964 has come into the pits here. So, obviously his engineers finally come through onto the radio, and he's now coming in for that tire change. So very costly, but he won't lose second place here. So very lucky for Nightwalker to not get a penalty.
Yeah, maybe he realised what was being discussed and then realised he hadn't actually made the tyre stop. So obviously he had enough of a gap to hold on to second place, knew he wasn't going to take the win, and just went, okay, we'll just pull it in, put it beyond doubt that I have changed my tyres and focus on race 2.
So at the final lap here of the St Croix C 260, we have Duran 50 leading the way ahead of Nightwalker 964. Adam making a move on Blacko. Oh no, actually that is Sirik, I apologise. So that's Sirik trying to battle Blacko once again, boys. This is incredible between Blacko and Sirik. These guys have been thicken the actions throughout this whole race between Blacko and Sirik here. So can Blacko hold off Sirik for one final time, for one more lap? We'll have to wait and see as this battle rages on between Blacko and Sirik. Battling for 4th place there. Adam's cleared away. And a full credit to Adam to take 3rd place, which is a very fantastic job for him to make a return back in the TS2 category, but to get a podium at St Croix C. Obviously, he might like this track as well, like yourself, Jarman. That obviously you've given him a bit of a helping hand, obviously in the past few hours, and thoroughly deserved podium for Adam.
Yeah, I didn't really help out too much. Maybe he got the old binoculars out and borrowed them from DJ and managed to have a look at what I was doing around the track. But other than that, I didn't really give him much advice or setup tips. So maybe it was just using DJ's binoculars.
My binoculars are not used on anybody except for my teammates. Thank you very much. Don't be like that. Come on.
I just thought I'd wind you up a bit there.
But going back to the season standings, I know we're coming to the end of it. Looking into it, there's actually Devil and Calypso in 8th place there. So he's been really consistent coming into the season. So
I'm going to cut you off there, DJ, but we see Duran 50 coming around the final corner, but we will see Duran 50 cross the checkered flag here to take the victory for race 1 here for the St Croix C 260. Duran 50 and the number 50 CP Motorsports Nissan takes victory, but we will have to cross back to Little Blacko and Sirik, but it looks like Little Blacko's just gone ahead of Sirik there, so he's fended him off nicely, and Blacko's going to go ultra defensive for these last few corners. Try to keep a cool head, Blacko. You are the champion, but obviously you want to win it on the track here. He's going to go pushing Sirik right onto the grass here. Can Sirik go for an inside move? He does, and he gives Blacko a bit of a shove there as well. There's contact being made amongst the 2 drivers there, and Sirik does wisely a very good job to pull out of that and actually redress that. So top play by Sirik here. Blacko will take 4th place here, and that is going to be, ooh, what a spicy battle that was between Blacko and Sirik there. Beautiful racing, but I think definitely a bit of aggressiveness on that last bit. But I guess in Sirik's in defense, he did pull up and he did redress.
Yeah, fair play to Sirik on pulling over on that one, letting Little Blacko have that spot and cross the line. So probably won't really attract the attention of the stewards post-race because of how it was addressed.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. And we see Budsy and Wasadon crossing the line in 6th and 7th place, with Rugworth down in 8th, rounding up the top 8. So a nice little quiet run there for Rugworth, with Luminous actually, nice little performance there for Luminous in 9th place, and Mikes rounding up the top 10. So 1 race down, 1 race to go. We have Duran 50 over Nightwalker over Adam Weller. So it's going to be who's going to take out race 2. We'll have to find out very shortly as we see these guys cross the line. we have Warpath 360 coming across, and then we have the back three coming towards the back end of the track there. So at least one of them is not on the bridge, so that we'd have to wait forever. So I guess I think for us it's good that these boys are nice and close to each other. It's about 2 minutes, 0.9 behind Duran 50 for Devlin. So still in the lead lap. Unfortunately for NZL Cowboy, I think he is a lap down on Duran 50 on that one.
Yeah, I was going to say on the bridge comment, they probably were on the bridge when they when Duran crossed the line. Probably weren't even up to the bridge at that point, but
Okay.
yeah, at least they're not nearly a full lap behind. So
Yeah,
everyone
exactly.
gets across the finish line in a timely manner.
Exactly right. So the advantage goes the way of Duran 50 for race 1 here at Trackstars TS2. Duran 50 takes victory. He's got one race done. Can he get a clean sweep for race 2? And will he be able to carry that momentum for him and Nightwalker 964 into tomorrow morning's MB Glass 1500? We'll have to find out very shortly. As we decide to go through the race results, we will see it is Duran 50, Nightwalker, and Adam taking out the podium. So a nice little consolation podium there for Adam there. So big props to him. Well done to him. And maybe we might be able to see him potentially try to move a little bit further forwards and maybe make a challenge for against Nightwalker and Duran. But I don't know about you boys. I definitely want to keep an eye on Sirik in race 2. If he gets a good launch in that car, he might be able to pose a threat for Duran and Nightwalker.
I think he's kind of been a little bit of an underdog since he's come obviously into the series.
I would say so too, and hopefully if we've got Viper back in the chat, we might be able to have a little chat with him about 2022. Have you got us back here, Viper?
Yeah, yep, never left. Just I am actually following TJ's advice and starting to get some stuff done for this Lexus tonight. But I am here for a chat.
All right. Well, now we've got ourselves a bit of a 5-minute break from between races. We want to talk about you being one of the 2 new entrants into the Trackstars Touring Cars and Formula Trackstars Championships. So it's big congratulations for you and for Satellite Racing to make the cut as being one of the top 7 in Trackstars.
Yeah, thanks very much. It was a real privilege to have been selected. There were a lot of really highly, what's the word I'm looking for here? Highly respected teams amongst the community that were able to beat out and earn this spot, and it was a real gift to us just before Christmas, early Christmas gift, if you will, to see that we've been selected for next season and just know that our future's safe and that we've got a spot with Trackstars next season. Obviously, satellite racing in general, we've got a rich history in mainly iRacing and R-Factor events, being at the pinnacle with IndyCar, iRacing, even some dirt oval stuff, which I know Jarman would be interested in. But we've got a fair amount of events that we sort of take place in, and to crack it in GT Sport, we've had a fair amount of FIA success in the past, but now it's just starting to get through to some more grassroots stuff and really look for our next sort of top drivers and really establish ourselves amongst Trackstars. And it's a really great way to sort of introduce ourselves to the community now through myself over the last couple of months, and now we're here to stay for next season.
I think with Satellite coming in as well, obviously from seeing the driver lineups, but people don't actually know, you've actually, I wouldn't say flogged one of the drivers from one of the top teams, but you've actually taken a co-driver from one of the top teams. So I wonder how that's going to play out into next year.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple of raised eyebrows, I would assume. I'm not actually sure I'm allowed to announce the driver lineups. From you guys' perspective, is it something that I should be keeping secret, or I'm happy to speak about it if you guys are?
Oh, I guess that's
you can go for it.
Yeah, that's
okay.
on Jarman's word. You can go for it.
Okay, there you go. I will be making a more official announcement in the future But yeah, tonight I guess it will be the first official sort of speaking that it will be Ridwan and Speedy Tyres taking the reins of our 2 cars for the Touring Car Series at the absolute minimum. We're still talking about what's going to be happening for the Super Formula stuff going forward. But yeah, we've actually poached both of them from current teams. Obviously, Speedy Tyres currently being one of the real standout drivers for CB Motorsports, driving with Diswood, and then Ridwan, who is currently with RoboSport Racing, I think it is, driving back with Colin, who's had a bit of a rough time in the Enduros as of late, but it's great to have these 2 guys signed in. We've had them as a part of the first the Revo program, which is kind of our young drivers effort, and now the full VRS Satellite Racing team as well. And I really don't think we could have put our trust in 2 better drivers going forward, and I know full well that they'll give us our best. We've also got myself and Brian Fuji, who is a bit of an Australian community legend. He goes back a long way in the league racing days, who will be taking on their cars for the Enduro Series as well. And we've got a fair amount of faith that we've got a real good battle going forward, and that we'll be able to stick it to some of the more established teams and try to scare some guys at the top of the pack.
Yeah, and I believe for the likes of Ridwan, obviously he has been a part of your stable in satellite racing, obviously racing in the TS2 and then the Formula and the TS Trackstars Formula 2, and then even sometimes in the Porsche Cup as well. So he's obviously been a stable in the satellite racing. So I guess in a way it was a bit of a no-brainer for you to contact him again and say, like, well, we've got ourselves a main drive for 2022. We need you back in the car. And yeah, and obviously for you guys for him to say, yep, I'm gonna make the switch over. And obviously in Ridwan's short career in Trackstars, he's actually managed to get himself victories and podiums for the RoboSport Racing, which in a way kind of revived the resurgence of the Nissans getting victories, and for RoboSport as well as a team manager to finally get victories under his belt.
Oh, and it would have been fantastic for Robbo to have a driver of Ridwan's caliber finally show up and start performing in that Nissan. I'm sure a lot of the guys who have really done the hours behind the scenes would know full well that Nissan is an absolute beast of a car. Matt and myself, Matt I'm talking about here, I've done a lot of hours in that Nissan, especially in the early days of the TS2 series, and we've done some time as well running them at the main game BOP, and I can tell you once and for all, if there's any doubts about the Nissan GTR for main game BOP, they should be diminished. That thing is an absolute weapon, not only in a straight line, it's definitely got it to fight the RCF and the NSX, but it's just all round good enough. It's got the fuel, it's got the tyre wear, it is absolutely good enough, not only to win any given race, but to win St Croix this weekend if it had the right driver and setup.
Absolutely right, and I think it's great to see satellite racing being involved in Trackstars and for season 2022. Obviously for you guys, for you coming in to TS2 in your debut round here at St Croix C back in July, and obviously for you it was great to see satellite racing being involved in Trackstars. But as we get ourselves ready for race 2, we will call the action between Duran 50 and Nightwalker 964 on the front row, as we see Rugworth leave the building here. There's a bit of a disconnect there. What's going to happen here? Odd one for Rugworth. Let's see what happens as we see the lights go out, and we only still got 13 here, so they might have to call a red flag on this one. Yes, red flag will be called. I'm up for all drivers. Hopefully you got the screenshot there, Jarman, on the grid.
Yes, I do.
All right, but yeah, so as we reset ourselves for race 2 at Trackstar in TS2, we'll get back to Viper. So yes, it is obviously great to see satellite racing be involved in Trackstars. Obviously, you guys making the jump over in July and making your presence felt in TS2, in the Porsche Cup, and even in the Formula 2. So it's great to have you guys involved. That's for sure, and hopefully we're definitely looking forward to seeing what you guys can offer with Speedy and Ridwan in 2022.
Yep, looking forward to it. Thanks very much, Spud. It's going to be a great season. We've had calendars released already, obviously today for the Touring Car Series, and we've already been talking behind the scenes. Group chats are set up, and we're talking about what we're going to do going forward. Obviously, long time before Gran Turismo 7 comes out. But I think that just shows that we're all very, very keen to get involved, and yeah, we can't wait to get amongst the action and show the Trackstars community just what we're about.
Exactly right, and obviously, if you haven't, so obviously you've mentioned the stories about satellite racing. Where can we find links and about satellite racing, about their history, and about their caliber? Obviously, you've talked about caliber drivers coming from that community, coming from that team. So obviously, it's obviously a really big thing for satellite racing to actually be a big part of the virtual racing world.
I guess there's nowhere that we can really say. You can strictly look. It's not like we've got a book or anything out, although Aaron Noonan, if you're listening, feel free. But yeah, I guess the website's probably the best place you can look to sort of see what we're all about, and that'd just be as simple as Googling satellite racing. We've got a kind of in the works website at the moment, just documenting all our R-Factor iRacing, ACC, and our GT Sport drivers. Little bit out of date as of late. We haven't really been keeping up to it in terms of keeping people refreshed in terms of what we're doing. The Instagram page as well as the Facebook do have some relatively up-to-date stuff. A few of my Formula 2 as well as main series and TS2 wins were documented on there. So Trackstars has been getting a bit of a rap on the satellite racing socials. But yeah, it's a great way to sort of see what we're about in other platforms as well. It's not just a GT Sport team. We're not sort of this left field Australian team that's come out and just decided to run Trackstars. It's a fully fledged outfit, and yeah, there's a lot more that we do. I would say GT Sport is probably, as strange and as horrible as it is for me to say, it's probably the smallest platform that Satellite run, but I think personally being the head or one of the co-heads of the GT Sport side of things at the moment, I'm definitely looking to turn that around and try and make us a real staple of what Satellite Racing does going forward into GT7.
Absolutely fantastic. So we can't wait. We definitely cannot wait to see, and hopefully we'll get your drivers in for next year. And we can't wait to see what your drivers in Red One and Speedy Tyres do tomorrow morning with Speedy Tyres and the 66 CP Motorsports. Obviously now confirming for the final time, running in the CP Motorsport cars. So will he be able to help Diswood One claim the championship in the Elite Breaking Mechanical Touring Cars Championship? Will we be able to see a guy like Red One move up towards the front of the grid? Obviously he's starting a little bit lower down the field, so he'll be one to keep an eye on, obviously for the last race and even for next year as well. But for now, we'll focus on TS2 and their final race. Hopefully we got everyone into the right specs, and obviously we will say for the final time, boys, it is time to place our bets. Let's get our Monopoly money out. Who's going to take out race 2 of TS2 Trackstars Touring Cars?
Monopoly money.
I think it's going to be very close between Duram and Nightwalker, but I will be keeping a very close eye on Siriki. I don't count him out for a podium, even a second place. So that time will tell. But we've got the final race of 2022 in TS2 for Trackstars Touring Cars. It is Duram 50 versus Nightwalker 964, teammates on Sunday for the MB Glass 1500, but rivals in the TS2 Championship as the lights go on between Duram and Nightwalker. Who's going to come out on top? It is lights out, green flag racing, and Duram's got himself a nice start again there, but we see Wazadon coming through the middle there, already up into third place. Wazadon coming from 6th all the way up into second place, and Wazadon, don't tell me he's going to go around the outside of Duram 50 coming into the turn 2. Will he go around the outside and get first place? No, he doesn't, but unbelievable start by Wazadon yet again. So that Nissan flies off the start, and especially for Wazadon, it flies off the start line.
Yeah, that was an amazing start. I'm just going to get a replay, hit a replay marker, just going to see what happens through the next corner here. But yeah, we'll go back and have a look at that one for sure.
Absolutely, that is incredible for Wazadon to go from 6th, I believe 7th. Yeah, 7th all the way up to your 13th, so we see that. Wow, just look at that launch. That is the perfect launch. That's a very Hamilton-esque launch there, especially at Abu Dhabi. A very solid launch there by Wazadon, but hopefully he might be able to keep that pace. Obviously, he's found something in his tune to try and maybe help him down the straight. I mean, it's only the first lap, so we will have to wait and see what his gearbox is like coming towards at the end of the first lap. But so far it is Duran 50 still leading the way, like he did in race 1. As I see a driver go off wide there, I don't think that's a driver of relevance. I think that might have been Luminous there down the back there onto the gravel trap. I'm not so sure.
No, I think it was Warpath.
Warpath.
He was right with Budsy and then just dropped off about 1 second again, so that would have been him that ran wide. And he came under pressure from TH Lunacy for a moment and then sort of just regathered himself.
So TH Lunacy coming through, as we see Nightwalker does make the move on Wazadon, so that obviously that second place didn't last long for Wazadon. He's coming through. He's here for the run. He's here for no prize for him for obviously championship wise, but he's going to go all out. So we'll have to wait and see what his gearbox is like. But I think, look at that, he's coming up to 300 very fast, and he hasn't done much with the gearbox tune-up. So Adam's going to be rounding him up very nicely. Yep, he's just about to pull out shortly. Yeah, he does. So I believe Adam's going to be taking that position away from Wazadon. So nice little run there for Wazadon at the start. Perfect launch for Wazadon. But unfortunately, I think just reality kicks in that he's going to be dropping down the order pretty quickly very soon.
Yeah, awesome start, and then of course more things change and more things stay the same. Sirik and Little Blacko going side by side again and fighting it out for 5th spot this time around.
Exactly. Then we see Budsy down in 7th place, Warpath in 8th. And then we see the likes of TH Lunacy in 9th place. And then I think it is, Miko's 1, 2, 3 in 10th place with Devlin Calypso in 11th. And we see Rugworth obviously drop off a little bit there, so he's right down the back there. So he actually might be, I think he's down in last place there for Rugworth, 14th place. There's something happened on that lap there, starting in 8th place for Rugworth and down in 14th. So something definitely did happen.
He also did start from the back. I put him there.
Ah, did you? Okay.
As the cause of the red flag.
Okay, fair enough. Okay. Yeah, so he's got a bit of work to do for Rugworth, up and down in 14th place, so hopefully be able to get himself in the top 10, but still Duran 50 leads the way ahead of Nightwalker, Adam in 3rd, and Sirik right behind in 4th place. Actually, so now we see Wazadon and Sirik still battling out, so those two are going to be battling it out, but Sirik does take the position ahead of Wazadon, Little Blacker right behind, and Budsy 76 in 7th place.
Yeah, that might give Sirik some breathing room over Little Blacko. He might have just got that car between him through these corners here, just take off a little bit and build that gap so that the fight doesn't continue on between them.
So I think obviously in Sirik's case, like I said with the bet, I believe he was caught up in that mid-pack, so that's definitely lost him a bit of time, but he's about 5.3 behind Duran 50, so we'll have to wait and see. Now he's got clear air how much ground he can make up on Duran, and especially Adam in 3rd place.
Yeah, you probably get that AWS tracker out, I'm going to say probably about half a lap or something between, half or 1 lap between Adam and Sirik maybe.
Definitely say so. I haven't heard DJ's prediction with his Monopoly money. Obviously, he's keeping that safe in the bank. He's obviously trying to keep that for, I would say, for the top 6 shootout for Viper to take pole position, I'd say.
Well, I'd like to put my TS2 Monopoly money on. I'd go for probably Adam or Sirik, but obviously it looks like Duran or Nightwalker seems to be a bit unstoppable here. But yeah, mate, you know me, I gotta put all hats onto my teammates and put that in the front row for tomorrow morning for whichever one of us decides to start. So we'll wait and see what 8 o'clock comes. So that'll be around in about half an hour's time. So that'll be a big night for all parties concerned in the top 6. So yeah, as I said, we'll just wait and see what happens, and then we'll just go from there. But it's obviously qualifying is crucial, but being 1500k is definitely a very long race to come. So 130 odd laps at the moment to come. But look at this, we got Lunacy here. So he was a little bit of a latecomer because obviously Renegade had to pull out, but he's obviously slapped a bit of a tune in there, and he's already up into 9th place coming from the back. So he might get his head in and we might see him charge a bit further up through the field because going to the Enduro Series around here, I seen him practicing and it was actually pretty quick back in Split 2, so it'll be wait to see what he's got.
I will we'll quickly butt in here in relation to Lunacy as well, who is all over the back of Warpath at the moment. Lunacy is one of the Project One Racing Team drivers, one of many who we talk about but rarely ever show up. So it's very nice to see him actually make his, I believe this is his debut actually for TS2, back in 9th as well, so running respectably in the top 10. But yeah, he's actually a previous Project One GT champion, so Lunacy, when he's got his head right there, his Blacko just backs out of a move there, and Buddy, not quite the right time for it. We'll see a replay of this one. He'd set it up all the way down the straight. Wow, he ran really wide there actually, so Budsy, was there contact there, Spud?
No, I think he did it on his own.
No, I think he just hit the brakes a little bit too late. He wasn't expecting Wasdon to brake a little bit earlier, and I think Blacko just misjudged it and went a little bit too deep. So he backed out of it, didn't hit Wasdon, which is great for him. Obviously, not to make any contact, but that drops him down to 7th place and behind Budsy 76.
Yeah, interesting. Really tight stuff there. There's Warpath and Lunacy now going at it in the background behind these two, going side by side there. It looks like Lunacy's gotten the spot too, so well done to him. But yeah, these guys who obviously just missed out on one of the official 2022 spots as well, not really being active enough in the community, if I do say so myself. I didn't really see much of them, and I'm sure that'll change going into next year. But Lunacy as well, one of our very best when he's got his head screwed on and when he is prepared for a race, as he's tried his best to prove me wrong there. Oh, that's a moment and a half. No damage sustained, very luckily for Lunacy, but Warpath, I don't think it's over for him. And I might just stop talking about Lunacy here because the commentator's curse is coming into play.
Oh, that's funny, but as we see, I think the gearbox and the straight line speed is really hurting Duran 50 on this lap here. Actually, oh no, he's actually pulling away a little bit. So a little bit of a tweak on his gearbox there, and he's actually pulling away from Nightwalker. So a little bit of a breathing, a little bit of time for Duran 50 to fix his gearing up, and obviously he's done well. And look at that, Sirik's now made the move on Adam, and he's in 3rd place as we try to look back there at the end of the straight. Oh, Adam's coming back at him. Just tries to push Sirik a little bit too far wide, but Sirik holds around the outside onto the inside, and it looks like Sirik's going to make the move done, and he's now on the podium, so he's going to be making the charge towards Nightwalker and Duran 50. So beautiful racing between Sirik as we look on board, with Sirik coming down towards the end of the back straight there. Very long straight, really runs it in too deep, and Adam goes for a bit of a switchback move on Sirik there, but Sirik just holds his line, holds the car straight, and makes the move very cleanly on Adam to take 3rd place.
By the looks of Duran going down that back straight, he's definitely extended that tune because he's filling out that 6th gear a lot more than what it was in race 1. But yeah, it's good to see that he might have done a little bit of a tiny tweak there during races, because we know what speed Duran's like. Obviously from joining TS2, he was instantly up the front. So it's good to see him up the front there, and obviously making his main game racing alongside Nightwalker tonight. So
exactly, and I think obviously Jarman would know as well that with the Honda and the Nissan or the Lexus, obviously the biggest advantage that the Honda has is, well, one of its big advantages, except for being broken, is being the braking performance of the Honda. So you can actually really go really deep in these cars. Like you can go at least a few extra meters further than the Nissan and the Lexus.
Yeah, in the first half of the season, I didn't really actually see what you meant, but then spending some time with Matt was sort of, I wouldn't call it a braking performance advantage. I'd probably say that the aero advantage is probably what helps it a bit more. You can sort of go a bit deeper into those sweeping corners and really rely on the aero a bit more to get it around.
Oh, as I saw Nightwalker just drift a bit wide there. He got so close onto the exit onto the entry of the bridge. They're so close, but Duran 50, it looks like he's picking up his pace now. 2:59 on that last lap, so he's definitely picking up some pace where he found it in qualifying. So good lap times coming through for Duran 50, and Nightwalker just getting really close with that Armco on the entry of the bridge. But Sirik down in third place is not really catching these guys, so I don't know if he's going to have enough to catch up to Duran and Nightwalker come the end of the race. So obviously he's definitely cleared away. Oh, actually, I wouldn't say he's. Oh, yeah, sorry, he actually has cleared away 6.3 between him and Adam in fourth place. But he's now bringing the likes of Wazadon and Little Blacko and Budsy into the play here. So Adam's not going to be holding a fourth place very soon if he starts to lose a bit of pace amongst the top four. Oh, sorry, the
I'd
top
say
eight.
that Adams made a mistake somewhere during this lap, because looking at his split time heading on the main straight, it was 5 seconds down on his previous best time. So that probably explains why there's a 6-7 second margin with Sirik and Wazadon and Blacko have caught up.
Yeah, I think that is a very good spot there. Yeah, you're right there, 5 seconds on that split. So big mistake for Adam. Obviously, getting a podium on your. No, I don't think this is Adam's TS2 debut round, is it?
No, he
have a
raced
round.
at Bathurst.
Ah, yes, that's right. He did race at Bathurst. The very first Bathurst, I believe it was, before obviously, and then the second one was at the 1000. But yeah, I think you got to say in a way, full credit goes to the new drivers in Sirik, Adam, but even especially Wazadon. Like obviously, we know Wazadon is a fast driver and a capable driver on his day that he can be up there in the top 5 and even fighting for podiums. But especially for tonight, obviously for Wazadon and unfortunately for Wazadon not to be partnering up alongside Wiseacre for the MB Glass 1500 is a big loss, because this pace that Wazadon has is pretty strong.
Yeah, he's certainly doing a really good job here, very much taking up the Little Blacko. He obviously doesn't have that tune that he needs to really get the full potential out of the Nissan, but he's very much doing an admirable job, and he's really getting the elbows out here at the moment, trying to keep Little Blacko behind him.
He's doing a really nice job there to be in 5th place and running a respected 5th place for Wazadon. So it's great to see him back with Little Blacko in 6th, Budsy 76 and 7th. Then we see and then we see Lunacy in 8th place there. So he's not far back as well. So these guys are going to be if they battle too hard, obviously Lunacy will be catching up to these guys pretty quickly. And Lunacy, mind you, he's only just jumped in for race 2. Obviously, unfortunately for Renegade to not make the final race in TS2, but for Lunacy to be up there in 8th place on his first race in TS2, hey, that's a solid performance for a debut driver. He's got himself a fair margin over the guy in 9th place there, so he's closed that gap to about 0.8 or 0.7 actually, behind Budsy 76. So racing with some really good drivers there up the front in Blacko, Budsy, and even Wazadon. So he's got to find his pace, and hopefully he might be able to do a bit of a sneaky undercut and maybe try and jump those guys in the pit stop.
Yeah, that's definitely something you've got to consider in the next few laps, is when you pull the trigger on making your pit stop and as Rugworth just runs a bit wide. I was going to say maybe not the damage, but the way that was looking, it nearly looked like he was having a disconnect moment, but then he gathered it back up, so maybe not a disconnect there, thankfully.
Lap 5 of 13, so we've only got ourselves about 8 more laps until the conclusion of the Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars Championship, and we have a fantastic battle that could be brewing up for the finale here with Duran 50 in first place and Nightwalker 964 in second place. Teammates in the number 50 CP Motorsports entry come Sunday, but rivals in the TS2 race for this evening. Duran 50 versus Nightwalker 964, just gone over a second now, but they're still hanging within that same gap range between the two drivers, and obviously with that pace that they're sharing, they're definitely pulling away from Sirik and Adam, as we see Wazadon be the first of the runners making that pit stop. So he's going to be the one that pulls the pin first, and obviously you can judge by that with 5% fuel on his car. He's definitely been going full send in that number 26.
Yeah, of course, with the way the gearing is as well, he's probably burning a lot of fuel running at such high revs as well.
Yes, so we're going to look. So it's going to be a nice moving battle. So I'm actually looking at that sector times. Obviously, that the Honda is really cooking up very nicely in those first few corners. I think obviously Dram 50 in that little break, he's definitely found something with straight line speed. Obviously you can see with that little mini straight there coming onto the double left-hander, he's actually found something. But then again, I think it's on traction and maybe the torque of the Honda has actually got it's got a little bit, maybe a little bit more torque compared to the Nissan GTR. I'm not too sure. I'm not overly too sure.
I think I've noticed as well the pure acceleration out of a corner in the Honda compared to the other two cars is actually like something that can't really compare to each other. Like it kind of stood out to me at Fuji when I went to come onto the straight, and then I just accelerated and I was flat, and then there was a Honda in front of me, and it took off, and it was maybe about 5 to 6 k's faster out of a corner. So maybe that might be where Nightwalker's making up a bit of his time, but it looks like he's losing a bit more time in the corners there compared to what Jerem is. But he's within that 0.7 there, so keep an eye on Nightwalker coming down here into the corner down here at the end of the straight.
I will say he did get a very good exit on the entry of the bridge there. That really helped him. He was about 1 second, and I think on the exit of the bridge he gained about at least 3/10 or just over 3/10 on Jerem 50. So that now drops down to 0.3. Nightwalker really abusing the brakes of that Honda NSX, getting really close to Jerem 50. We're only on lap 6 of 13, so it's going to be one of these guys who's going to jump into the pit lane. Obviously, I feel like Jerem 50 is going off, and Nightwalker's off. Nightwalkers have made a big mistake coming onto the back end of the straight, back end of the track, as we see a replay. What happened there? Did he just clip the grass?
I'm guessing the grass must have been the culprit here, so let's see. That one's probably the best one. Yep, he got the grass.
Oh no, for Nightwalker for getting so close to Jerem 50, all that work, all that effort to try and get those laps in, to try and pull on, to actually get advantage over your competitor, has actually come to an abrupt end for Nightwalker 964. They're basically on the same fuel number as well. So for Nightwalker and Jerem 50 to be on the same fuel number, what could have been? But I don't know. Nightwalker's got a huge task ahead of him if he wants to try and win this race. As you see, guys like Adam and Little Black are staying out, so they actually be able to go one more lap. And oh, that is so close. I mean, thankfully we have ghosting on, but that does get me all the time. That is pretty scary. On the exit of the pit lane there, just a car just appearing in front of you out of nowhere.
It is a tricky one to judge, but of course how the pit lane exit sort of comes back out pretty well onto the racing line. You sort of have to have your wits about you, but at least the game is kind enough to ghost that car coming out of the pits before you get back up to speed, I'll say. And at least you get some time to see, well, the car following gets to see that the car is there and then react before it unghosts.
Yeah, exactly right. I think it does take a little bit just further. I think when it gets past turn 1, I think that's where it starts to really, that's where the car unghosts. So you're a little bit further back and not coming to them when they exit the pit lane, you're safe. But past that exit point, yeah, they go full solid there. As we look through the comments here, obviously getting some of the regular boys, main series boys, into the YouTube chat. So we see Brandosa in the chat there. So obviously showing much love for Adam there. So Adam's running in first place, but he's yet to make a pit stop. Is he going to run out of fuel coming into the pit lane? That is so low on fuel. That is incredible how he's keeping that car car on the track on lap 7.
He must know something that we don't, because he's obviously got enough to get around. He's really setting some fast sector times coming around here. He's 2/10 up on the last sector, so it's not like he's conserving or anything like that. So maybe he knows a bit better than what we do, guessing on a fuel gauge.
Very interesting indeed. And then obviously we have Woodsy in the chat as well. He's calling DJ out, saying it's called pure skill, DJ. So I think he was talking about the acceleration and the torque distribution for the Hondas there. So I think he's calling you out when it comes to skill.
It's all good. You know, me and Woodsy have had our banner, but no, we'll just wait until next year, eh? We'll wait and see how next year goes.
And then we have our favourite Brian in the chat as well, obviously waiting for the complaints for the understeer of the Lexus there. So not yet. We obviously the shootout hasn't arrived yet. So we will obviously if you do hear complaints, it might be in the shootout. So we'll have to wait and see. But obviously we're gonna wait to see Adam make his pit stop now. He's just coming onto the final corner onto the pit straight. Yep. So look at that, 1% of fuel left. So he's done a magnificent job with fuel saving. And same with little Blacko as well. So Blacko's actually come in with 0% of fuel. So those boys really stretching it out there when it comes to fuel. Obviously getting onto lap 7 or 13, so over half distance with 30 litres of fuel. So they're definitely going to short fuel come this time around. But will Little Blacko be ahead of the boys like Wazadon and even guys like, well, not Adam, ahead of Budsy, Wazadon, and even Lunacy has actually come up through into 5th place. So Lunacy comes through onto the first corner. So that's what I was talking about when it comes to the pit exit there. See if we can find a replay on that. That must have been so close, just coming through there. So Little Blacko's getting service right now. Go on board with Lunacy here, and coming onto the pit exit. There is Little Blacko there, and he starts ghosting, and then bang, there he goes, solid. And ooh, that is so tight for Lunacy, but he found a gap and he committed, and he's now up into 5th place. So great result there. But we see Little Blacko fighting back on SD on actually no. Oh no, sorry, yeah, that is Little Blacko there. Why is he saying? I'm confused there. Why is he saying he's 15th place? That is technical issues there, I believe, there for Little Blacko. Why is he down in 15th?
Yeah, that's a very weird one. I think we had the same thing with I think it was coming for you in the Endurance Series race. When I was covering that, he came coming for you came out in something like 13th or something. It was as if he was a lap down, but he wasn't, and then eventually it corrected itself.
Okay, that's a bit of a new glitch I've seen on the GT Sport. Well, the game's filled with glitches, obviously, in GT Sport, but it will be coming to an end on March 4th of 2022, where we will move over to GT7. So the brand new game that has come through the Polyphony Digital franchise of GT7. So a lot of hype coming around GT7, obviously through the trailer videos with the sneaky picture or with sneaky screenshots of corners of tracks there. So obviously a few tracks have been confirmed with Trail Mountain. Then we have Deep Forest Raceway, and then we have the Daytona recently being shown as well. So and the High Speed Ring as well. So four tracks have been confirmed for the new GT7, and I could say in a way 4 OG tracks. But I think we're waiting on a few more of the OGs to make a return on GT7, I guess.
Yeah, back on the glitches as well. I just want to point out, at least the names and numbers don't disappear on the race cars like they do in FIFA Career Mode.
Okay. Not much of a FIFA fan then, so you obviously know more than me.
Yeah, that's definitely why I don't play FIFA, but
I can absolutely confirm that happens, and I hate it with a passion. But I hate to sort of bounce between topics here, just back towards the GT7 tracks as well, of what we've seen. Obviously, Deep Forest, Trial Mountain, amongst a couple of others, High Speed Ring as well, notably being added. I can absolutely say, with a couple of inside sources, that this isn't all. There will be more to come. And that we can sort of sit tight and get ready for a couple more absolutely epic tracks that we're going to see added to GT7 in the future too. I'll stay tight-lipped for now, and they may not be absolute originals as per se, but they're going to be some pretty solid tracks that we've seen before in the Gran Turismo series. So pretty sure you guys will be pretty hyped about them, and I think there's at least one of our series that may include them in the future. So looking forward to it.
That certainly leaves a lot to the imagination. There's a
It's
whole
pretty
bunch
cryptic,
of
isn't it?
tracks
Yeah,
you could.
I give a lot away.
I mean,
I thought you were working out. I didn't know you were working at Polyphony there, but obviously you would have given us a bit more of an inside scope of what's to come.
No work at Polyphony, unfortunately. But just knowing some of the World Tour boys and knowing what they know through a couple of the
Okay, yep.
Polyphony digital chats, they've got a couple of insights that we don't. Just being, the best of the best, they get the beta testing and they get some of the insider information before we do. And I've been lucky enough to be told some of that information.
Well,
And it's
do you
stuff.
do you actually make contact with the current World Tour drivers, or is it just some of the older World Tour drivers that you've raced with in the past, say, year or so?
A bit of both. I'm still in contact, obviously, with Matt, who was one of the older tier of World Tour drivers. Cy Bishop as well, who was one of the old guard. Some of the current ones as well, though, I still regularly sort of have chats with. Some guys who were actually recently at the FIA World Prize Giving events. Valerio Gallo, who just received his trophy for the FIA Nations Cup in Gran Turismo, was at the very same prize giving tournament as Max Verstappen, receiving his Formula One World Championship trophy. So that would have been an absolutely epic experience for him. But yeah, a lot of the guys just in general are very happy to sort of talk about stuff, and it's really cool to be able to have that kind of bond with a lot of them and just see what they're up to.
And you look at a guy like Valerio Gallo, he's signed up with the Williams esports team as well, so he's part of that Williams academy, or driver academy, and obviously guys like Gallo, and I think recently, I believe, I'm not so sure if it's Veloce or McLaren Shadow, but I think it's actually the Australian female Emily Jones, I think, is signed with one of those two brands. I'm not so sure which one it was, but obviously I'm guessing you've raced with her plenty of times over the FIAs.
Yeah, Emily and I have actually got a bit of a past. Nothing bad, of course, but we've had some great races over the past. I actually helped her to her very first top 16 Superstars pole position a couple of seasons ago. God, it seems like a lifetime ago now. But it was McLaren Shadow that she'd signed with, which is massive for her, and it's a while ago now, but I might as well add my huge congratulations. It's nothing but respect to her and the stuff that she's done in the community. Obviously being a big shot streamer with iRacing before she came over to GT Sport. And it's a bit of a shame now, seeing as she's sort of migrated back over to GT Sport, or back over to iRacing, sorry, my mistake. GT Sport doesn't really have the appeal it used to in terms of the Oceania GT Sport stuff, so a lot of guys have sort of found their passions and other stuff. For me personally, it was away from FIA and more towards league stuff, which is why I'm much more enjoying taking stuff out of Track Stars and Ruse. We had a yellow flag. It's Adam. No.
That is Adam that's come through a little bit too wide there, as we see, and at least we see Adam making the mistake there coming onto turn 4 there, so he must have just drifted a bit wide, and that's a bit of a strange one there. Just didn't get the car, just did not get the car planted on the ground there, and it just snapped out on him. So he drops all the way down to probably 7th place there. So that is so unlucky for Adam, looking for a good 4th place there, but very unlucky with 4 laps to go. That is, I guess you could say, for all Trackstars fans and Neil fans, that is a bit heartbreaking.
Horrible luck there for Adam. He was running so well as well, having, I think, only run Bathurst throughout the season. That was a really strong showing for him, and P7 as well, nothing to turn your smile up for. But yeah, still a solid performance from him. I will actually have to leave it there. I've got some things I'll have to attend to before the shootout. But yeah, good luck to everyone else who will be in the shootout tonight, and thanks for letting me call with you guys tonight. Enjoy the final 3 laps.
Thank you, Viper. That was, and obviously big congratulations to you for getting the 2022 spot in our Trackstars Racing Series events coming up in 2022 and GT7.
Thank you. Much appreciated, and we'll see you guys around very shortly.
No worries, my friend. But that was Viper said joining us in the commentary box. Thanks for his services, and thanks for him for making a few calls there. Obviously, one of his drivers from the Project One Racing team in TH Lunacy is coming through, doing a nice solid performance there in 5th place. Obviously, going through the chat on the Discord, he's obviously he didn't know much about the specs and regulations for his cars, but as soon as what he just did was just pick the car up, put I don't know whether he put a quick tuner in the car, and just put the power and weight ratio settings, and look at him now. He's in 5th place, and he's about just less than 2 seconds behind Little Blacker here. So I wouldn't rule out him getting a 4th place very soon.
Yeah, he's doing a very fine job here. at the moment. Of course, a bit of a shout out to Budsy as well. I didn't think he quite had the pace of the likes of Little Blacko, Adam Weller, and Sirik in that first race, but obviously he's changed something between races 1 and 2, and he's actually not that far behind TH Lunacy, so he could be dragged along as well, maybe steal a top 5 finish in this one.
It's going to be very close between I would say the top 5, as we say. Budsy just runs a little bit wide there, so a little bit too deep on the brakes, and that'll bring Adam a little bit closer towards Budsy compared to Budsy being closer towards Lunacy there. So a little bit
Commentator's
of a
curse.
on my driver there, John. What are you doing?
Sorry.
But no, obviously we've got some. Obviously, yeah, like you said, honourable mention goes to Lunacy for a top 5. Obviously, for now, obviously if he keeps the top 5, that'll be a solid performance for the Project One racing team driver in 5th place. And then I guess in a way you could say Wazadon's had a bit of an unfortunate run there, but for him, he's done a really nice job to get that start that he had was amazing. The start that he had at the beginning of the race was incredible. To be up into P2, that was awesome.
Yeah, that was an amazing start from Wazadon. I think I need to hit him up for some tips on how to get a Group 2 car off the line.
Well, if you
See him use traction control, so that may be one thing to look at.
Exactly, but look at this, boys. This Nightwalker's actually been dropping that margin down pretty massive. So if we look over to Nightwalker, I want to see what his lap times are. So the last lap was about a 3-minute flat for Duran 50. I wonder what Nightwalker's was when it comes to lap times, because he's closing up towards Duran 50 pretty fast. Yeah, so a 3-minute flat, but then looking at those numbers there, he's around about that mid-range low 59, very low 59s and high 3-minute laps. So he's ranging up very consistent laps there, but I wonder if he might be able to get himself closer to Duran 50 in 2 laps time. But Adam's closing up on a Budsy here. Unfortunately for Budsy, not closing up on Lunacy to get 5th place there. So it's going to be a bit of a stalemate amongst these drivers until maybe we could say I would say at least the final lap, that it might close up a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting between Lunacy and Blacko in these last couple of laps. I just think Lunacy's slowly closing that gap in on Blacko.
Yeah, I think so too. And as we look through the comments here, we see Woodsy in the chat again. It says, well, Viper and DJ both in the comms, wondering why they weren't practicing or / lacking pace. Maybe, and then he adds to it, if DJ turned the traction control off, he'd run around the same pace as his teammate. I'm not so sure if that's referring to Viper or to what's coming for you. I'm not too sure.
Well, I haven't used traction control since at least 3, maybe 4 years ago. I despise of using traction control. I hate it. You lose so much time, so... How about Woodsy turns around and focuses on his own racing, eh? I know that you're going to beat me at the St Croix, mate, but I'm going to give him a brutal shot. I think you're going to beat me anyway, but we'll wait and see how that goes. Never know, mate. We might tune this number 24 Lexus up to something that you're not expecting. So we got a long 100 or so laps to go. So just wait, my friend. Just wait and see.
Classic banter amongst you guys, but we'll see. We'll see now. T Lunacy is actually losing pace with Little Blacker, so I think his pace is dropping off a little bit, and is now being drawn to the clutches of Budsy 76 and Adam as well for the battle of the top 5. But even Adam's now dropping off, so that mistake that he made, looks like he's made another mistake. Yes, he has. So he's going from bad to worse for Adam. Obviously, Neil's providing the distractions for Adam, but obviously this last few laps is not working out to his favour.
No, let's see what happens here. Just gets a bit wide out of the corner and, yeah, tries to gas it up a bit too much, and the mistakes creep in for him. So maybe he's getting a bit tired as it's getting a bit towards his bedtime. And I finally found Neil.
What's that?
I finally found Neil on the car. He's sitting on the wing end plates.
Oh, is he? Okay, that's a bit of a... Let's see if we can get a bit of a clear view. Hopefully it stays on the camera. Oh, there it is. Yes, it is. That's funny. Good to see good old Neil, King Neil on the number 46. Obviously, it's a nice little, it's actually a nice little livery that Adam's created there, with a bit of that British racing green and a bit of that orange red strip down the side of it. So it's a nice little livery there for Adam there. I don't know if he's representing some of the old Bentley LMP cars back in the day, obviously with that very strong heritage British racing green, and even the Astons as well with that spec colours. So he's getting, obviously he's dishing out his British culture with the green colour. But now we see Budsy. Oh, what's happened here? Blacko has actually dropped off. What has happened? Oh, what has happened? This is something that we haven't seen. We see T Lunacy up in 4th place, and we see Budsy in 5th, and Little Blacko was looking to keep that 4th place. I did say it was going to kick off within the next final lap here, but we're not even on the final lap, and it's all kicking off here. That Budsy 76 could be potentially getting a 4th place, or can T Lunacy get himself? Can he hold on to 4th? Can Blacko make the charge back up into 4th place? Even oh no, not Adam. I thought that was Adam back there. That was the MNR of NZL Cowboy. But on the final lap here, unfortunately, it looks like for Nightwalker's charge, he won't be able to catch up to Duran 50. So Duran 50 has to keep it clean for one final lap, and he'll take the victory and the round. And I guess you could say, if Woodsy's still in the chat, he needs to give his teammate a clean sweep trap car. But look at this, boys. It is not over for 4th place. Lunacy versus Budsy versus Little Blacko. This is going to be an epic duel for the final lap here, as we see Budsy blocking really hard on Little Blacko there, just going ultra defensive and trying to also make a move on Lunacy, but he doesn't pull it through. So still a little bit more, about less than 10 Ks to go amongst these drivers. Who's going to take 4th? Lunacy, Budsy, and Blacko. Only time will tell over the next 2 minutes' time.
Yeah, this is going to be a really tight one. Probably a too close to call mention, but I'm going to say part of me would like to see Budsy come through and grab 4th. I reckon it would be a good reward for all the effort he's put in the last few rounds.
Absolutely, but it looks like he's just dropped off. He's gone a little bit wide there, so he's now actually dropped off to over a second. So he's out of the, you could say, the slipstream effect with these cars being less than 7/10 to get the full advantage of the slipstream. So he's now down to 1.2. So I think Lunacy, if he keeps the car clean coming towards the bridge section, it looks like he might be able to keep 4th there. So if he comes through the bridge, yeah, it looks like he has done so. I think 4th place is signed, sealed, and delivered for the Project One racing driver, but 5th place is not over. It's a battle between Budsy 76 versus Little Blacko. Mash Buds Racing versus Robo Sport Racing, as Blacko goes around the outside, and he has done a very clean job there. But Budsy's not giving up. He's going to try and go around the outside, or just tuck in. He dabs the little dab of the brake there. Very smart by Budsy, but try not to run the car too wide, and he's going to take full advantage of that slipstream that he's got in his Lexus RCF as we look towards that later on. But we're going to come towards the final corner. Nightwalker's dropped that gap down to 1.5, but 1.5 on the final lap in the final 2 corners is not enough for Nightwalker to snatch victory, as we see for the final time here at Trackstars NTS2. We will see the CP Motorsports Car 50, Duran 50 come across the line and take the checkered flag and the round victory for TS2 for the St Croix C 260. So great performance there, and a big congratulations to the CP driver in Duran 50 and Nightwalker teammates in the car 50 for the MB Glass 1500. And honourable mention goes to Sirik there. Solid performance there to get another podium in his short career in TS2. So well done for Sirik there. And then we see now T Lunacy coming through into 4th place there. So well done on his debut as well. A debut race and a debut 4th and a solid 4th place there for Lunacy there. Obviously that's 4th place is DJ's favourite placing in touring cars as well. So Lunacy doing the honours for DJ, but well done to Budsy as well, getting 5th place. And Blacko there looks like he made a big mistake there. So he looks like he must have run deep or run a bit wide or got onto the grass there. So something happened between Blacko and Budsy. We're not too sure on that, but unfortunately for Blacko, what was 4th place is now 6th place at the end of the race.
Yeah. I made 4th place pretty warm through the first half of the season, I guess. But then, obviously, I got the win at Blue Moon Bay, which was also assisted by Woodsy, and I still thank him to this day, and I do owe him a drink. But yeah, I guess it's good to see Lunacy get 4th place, but it's also really good to see Budsy earn 5th place. So he's definitely been working hard all season, and he gets a 5th place to round out the TS2 championship at St Croix. But then I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on him tomorrow in the 1500, because we did see some raw pace from him at Bathurst. He kept it on the lead lap, and he was inside the top 10 for pretty much most of his 2-hour stint. So he did a really good job, and he's really exceeded our expectations, obviously, with being at MSR and then obviously partnering up with Coming For You and Xylon in the Enduros. So yeah, he's going to be definitely one to keep his eye on, and kind of put him more towards sort of like what Matt Payne's going through, in more of like a Grove Junior development team, kind of like an MSR development team. Really, probably if you'd say so yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely can't wait to see what we can do with Budsy 76 in 2022. He'll be one of the lead drivers in the Toll Mash Buds Racing Lexus or Toyota, whatever we get in season 2022. But obviously, unfortunately for one of our drivers here that's joined us in the box, Adam, what did you do, mate? What, is Neil in the way or something?
The second one, legitimately, yes. The first one was hubris on my part. And the second one, Neil sprung up at an unfortunate point. And suddenly I had a very fluffy, swaying halo in front of my screen, like an F1 driver, only it made me sneeze a little bit as well. Anyway, one of them was his fault, the other two mine.
Oh, that's classic. But yes, but for the final time here in Trackstars TS2, we have our round winner and the last round winner for Trackstars in TS2 and for season 2021 belongs to the number 50 in Duran 50. So congratulations to Chase and the CP boys for taking out the round victory here at St Croix C. Maybe something to keep an eye on between Duran 50 and Nightwalker 964. We will have to find out in just over 13-14 hours time here. So but we will have to wait and see not long for Nightwalker to get that number 50 in the top 6 shootout for the MB Glass 1500, and hopefully he might be able to get himself within that top 3 in the shootout.
Now I'll be keeping my eye out for him coming to the shootout. So it's going to be very, very interesting top 6 shootout, to be honest. And another surprising one is actually not seeing the number 47 or the 1 in the top 6. Well, actually, the 1 is. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, the 1 is in the top 6.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, I thought I had Wiseacre in front of me, but I forgot you put in a pretty quick lap at the end there and did jump in. But yeah, I'm surprised the 47 isn't actually in the top 6. But
Well,
yeah,
I will confirm. We have found a driver for. We have finally found a driver for the number 47. We've managed to sneak in and just give him a bit of bribery with some money, and obviously, hopefully, his flight back from Shanghai doesn't have any delays. But we will be having Ando 787 in the number 47 for tomorrow's race. So I've sent him a tune for him to apply to the car, to the Lexus, and hopefully he might be able to get some running in before his stint later on in the day.
it's a very very solid signing there by you. He's definitely going to be one to watch out for, because I know how fast he is just as a whole. So yeah.
Absolutely, and as we see, Michael Levier, known as Mikez, yep, he's definitely sealed third in the championship, so big congrats there to you, Mikez. Well done throughout your hard work throughout the whole season, and you get yourself a top 3 in the standing, so that's well deserved, buddy. So well done to you, and well done to the Robo Sport Camp in getting Little Blacko officially, now we can say officially, the Trackstars TS2 Touring Cars champion for Robo Sport racing the car 14, Little Blacko.
Yep, and yeah, big congrats to Little Blacko, and I think we've got to quickly wrap this up so we can get the lobby open for the shootout.
Exactly. All right, well, thanks, boys. It's been an awesome year here at Trackstars TS2, and that is the final round. That is obviously the final round of TS2. We only have one more race for season 2021, and that is going to be for the MB Glass St Croix C 1500. So stay tuned for the shootout coming out very shortly. But on behalf of TS2 for the final time in Trackstars, we will see you guys for a brand new season next year.